The Centers for Disease Control has reported that autism is now the fastest growing serious developmental disability in the entire country. And as the number of affected children increases, so does the demand for schools and services to help those children.
Even 5 years ago, experts thought autism affected about 1 in 500 children born in the U.S. Now, public health officials believe that number is up to 1 in 166. And there are as many as 1.7 million Americans living with some form of autism.
Autism is the fastest growing developmental disability in the U.S.
And many families who have children with autism face a heavy financial burden.
Our heart goes out to the children with autism, but the families, they are under such stress. This turns their world upside down.
With no known cause and no known cure, many parents are struggling to cope, and caring for an autistic child can put great strain on a marriage.
Specialized therapies for children with autism are as much as $100,000 per child per year.
With families often paying more than $5,000 a month for home-based ADA programs, supplies, and other therapies, with little or no insurance reimbursement.
Everything's expensive. So it's a significant burden on the family. Obviously one that's worth it and worth every penny.
It's extremely important that people recognize that with the right proper care and the proper therapies that kids can definitely get better and have a great life.
Three children, as we speak here today, will be diagnosed in Illinois with autism. This is a massive increase from previous years. 70% of the individuals in Illinois that we've identified are between ages 3 and 11. When you have a child with autism, you discover very quickly that you're on your own.
I took my 3-year-old son to our Northbrook pediatrician and told him there was something wrong with him. He wasn't speaking. He was isolated. He had all these repetitive behaviors, a list of symptoms that I'm sure everybody in this room can relate to. And my son's pediatrician told me after about 30 seconds of observing Tim that what was wrong with him was me. I needed to get off of his back. I was clearly overbearing and neurotic, which is very true. But luckily for me, years ago, I only listened to this guy for about 6 months and went home and tried to leave my son alone, which was probably the worst thing I ever did.
When my son was 4 years old, he was completely nonverbal, and his first speech pathologist referred to him as a feral child, as if he had been raised by wolves.
I had no idea what the struggles were until I had an autistic child myself. I had no idea that there was a struggle for health care and for therapy and for education for my daughter. I had no idea those struggles existed.
I have a 7-year-old daughter that doesn't understand why her mom and her dad can't spend more time with her. Chicago only offered 30 minutes of speech therapy a week. Knowing that in common sense that this wasn't enough for a child who wasn't verbal, my husband and I enrolled in that Christ Hospital speech therapy program, which cost us about $8,000 to $10,000 a year.
And without your help, we're lost, because my wife and I cannot continue selling out $43,000 a year out of our pocket.
Neither one of us, like everybody else here, neither one of us has a retirement income or account. Our 3 other children have no college funds.
We're constantly making choices on financial matters. Literally, do we fix the car or do we give our kids therapy? Our kids have always been the number one priority, but we're suffering for that decision. I'm 42 years old. I have no savings account. We cashed in our 401k. We took the $50,000 and we put it towards ABA therapy.
In July of this year, I went on public aid, which I never thought I'd use. But I can't afford it because my mother will suffer if I don't get her the services.
The payoff is both of my children have gone from nonverbal to speaking. So the money is not going to go to waste, or it's going to definitely improve the lives of children and let them communicate with their family and their community, and hopefully lead to independent lives.
At 13, they now see very few signs of autism in my son. He just competed in a statewide cross-country competition with his team at Illinois State University in Bloomington. He no longer needs the one-on-one aid.
But we've seen through these past 3 years my nonverbal child speaking. Since December of last year, he started speaking.
I am one of the rare people in this room who could fund the ABA treatment that we launched, the social intervention treatment that we launched, all of the other treatments that we tried, every one of which had a major impact on my son. He had remarkable breakthroughs, and he is now a 6th grader at Highcrest Middle School in Wilmette, receives services, a lot of services still, but I have to show you a picture. He had 5 home runs on the baseball team this year, and I'm very proud of him.
So what a difference early intervention, intensive speech therapy, social intervention, one-on-one aid, behavior modification therapy, and trained staff and determined type A parents can make to help provide a better future for a child.
Until August of 2004, I was a resident of New York State. I applied for a Medicaid waiver for my boys. Once approved, a wealth of services, family supports were made available to our children and family.
I ask myself every day if I made a mistake moving to Illinois, because in New York we had the respite that could keep our family together, and here we don't. And quite frankly, with all of the services which you've heard about that we have to pay for privately, we don't have the money.
What we want you to know is that this financial catastrophe on families is preventable. And we're not asking for floor-to-ceiling coverage. We're not asking for an open-ended mandate. What we're asking for is targeted support that helps these families keep their children in their homes and in our communities.
Time is the essence. Their brain's growing. There are a lot of windows of opportunity in the brain to learn a specific task now.
I can't do it anymore. It's to the point where therapy, we used to do ABA therapy for Sam. We can't afford to do it anymore.
We can do better in this state for our children. All we need is a little help from you all.
This is a no-brainer. You're leaving 50% match on the table every year.
We need your help, and I know you have a lot of priorities that you have to weigh, millions, but these kids have literally no voice. So you have to be their voice and decide to help them, because otherwise they just don't have a future.
We are a civilized society. We have an obligation to care for these children and help their parents. What I witnessed over the last 8 years as an advocate and as a parent has been horrifying. I believe in our country and the strength of its determination to overcome adversity. We have to work together to solve this problem, and I'm ready to help this kid in any manner possible. Thank you.